All right, Alan and Drew Kinney here with another industry update. This time we want to talk to some of our farm and maple sugaring operations. Alan, what are we seeing in that marketplace right now?
Yeah, so the farm marketplace has not been immune from what the broader insurance marketplace is seeing right now. What we have seen, especially with cooperative insurance and some of the companies we work with a lot, is they have been very, very stable over the last 10 years from an insurance marketplace position. In fact, co-op hasn't had an increase on their farm policies in over 10 years. That's awesome. That's great. That's unheard of in this industry.
Yeah.
The problem is now the day has come where they got to take a little bit. You know, I get it. That's an increase we haven't seen so far. So you got 5%, they're bumping barn values, they're bumping houses up, 5 to 7% too. So you're getting more insurance coverage, but also there's some rate behind it. So it is leading to an increase that's a little bit more than people have seen over the last 10 years when they've only been seeing those inflation increases. But the good news, it's been a very stable marketplace for 10 years, and we anticipate that that is going to continue. But we are seeing a little bit of an increase there. It is much lower than the broader marketplace. The broad marketplace, home insurance is up 10, 20%. Businesses are seeing big increases. So the farm marketplace is continuing to be very stable with some of these long-term players. We also work with Nationwide, MMG, Ohio Mutual, and some others. They're a little bit newer to the Vermont marketplace compared to a company like Co-op that's been around for 100 years. So again, we're talking hundreds of years versus 20 years.
Yeah.
But at the same end of it, some of those have taken a little bit more over the past few years. So you're still in a pretty good spot. But we are looking at those options for our clients when things happen. And we're trying to provide a real-world assessment of where we stand. Co-op is still where we've got a lot of our coverages for our personal family farms, so we're not rushing away from that marketplace, and they're doing a great job with it. But again, we are seeing broad increases across the marketplace, but when our clients call in or we see an increase come in, we are assessing, hey, how does it fit with some of the other players we work with? Again, Nationwide, MMG, Ohio Mutual, we're hearing Liberty might come in soon. So there are some other options we have in the agency. We're happy to assess those, but right now we are still seeing, even with that 5% increase, that co-op, which is the majority of our farms right now, has been a stable market, and it continues to be in spite of this, because these other carriers are all taking significant rate too. They're seeing 5, 10, 15, 20% and really tightening down on their underwriting guidelines.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just fascinating. You kind of hit the nail on the head, right? And that over the past 10 years, co-op has not had a rate increase, and now they're finally getting around to taking a little bit. So I think that's just an important piece to keep in mind. And then the other thing I wanted to chime in quickly and say, and is now more than ever, it's important that you work with a trusted independent agent like us. We have multiple options in the agency for farm, as Alan mentioned. He listed off quite a few of them. That's relatively unique in our area. Typically, somebody usually only has one, maybe two options. So having a bunch of options is really helpful, and it's one of the real value adds we have.
Yeah, and don't underestimate too, our family owns a farm. We're on them all the time. So it is important to have someone that didn't just show up in the office yesterday and say, I'm going to write a farm. It's a different monster out there right now in the marketplace. And like Drew said, to my knowledge, we're one of the few that have multiple options and actually use them on a regular basis to make sure we're getting the right plan in place to protect your farm.